Maybe it starts. Maybe it'll start another video.
Are you with us? No, look, see? Go back to it.
Look, see, it started another one, right?
Are you guys there? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Yeah, look, here we go.
Have you guys returned?
Come back to us.
Come back. Back.
Yeah, they probably thought we journeyed beyond the angry crimson
the angry crimson veil. Dawn, yeah, we did. The angry crimson dawn of the internet. The angry
Misery business first. Hello, Misery.
Yeah, good to see you again, Misery.
Are you miserable?
The first half of that song I did not like. The second half of that song I liked very much.
Same.
I was very happy with the switch.
Yeah. It had a lot of transitions. It kept changing.
Yeah, we got mad and we left because the transition was just too proggy. And so we just decided that we were going to leave in protest.
Actually, we shut it off so we could really march around. But we're back now.
Actually. Yeah.
That's so good.
There was an accusation about the... Look at Ben. Just ordering people around. Play the song again.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, look at it.
All I saw was it crashed. Oh, play the song again.
Play the song. Look at him.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
The kid has no bedside manner whatsoever. Play the song again. It crashed. Shut the fuck up. What are you doing?
Oh,
your phone clicked up? All the time I've been telling you to get me a cool ringtone, whatever.
I have one for you, and I tried so hard to get it in there, and I can't get it.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you listen to Satan music. Iron Maiden Black Metal Edition. Song rocked so hard it wrecked the stream. I wouldn't say that it wrecked the stream. It did not wreck the stream. I thought it was a very nice song.
Well, he means to shut us down.
We listened to it all the way till the end of it.
Yeah, it was good.
The story was like, hey, she's like, did you notice we're frozen? I'm like,
I pulled up the thing. We both have like these angry looks on our faces. I'm like, oh, well, but we, okay. So the beginning of the song.
Go ahead and fight for him, Ben. Fight as much as you'd like. Fight as much as you'd like, man.
The beginning of the song, it sounded like, a traditional sort of, what I would expect if I was going to listen to a true cult song. No offense.
What do you mean by that? What do you
mean
it's what you'd expect from a true cult song?
Yeah, just the way that it started, like nothing was like different about it. And then like partway through the song,
nothing. Yeah, I could probably agree with that. It sounded like your standard black metal song.
Why are you acting so weird when I said that and you just repeated it back with different words?
Well, because I'm coming off the second half of the song, which did not sound like any other song.
Then the second half.
But then I thought, well, she already accounted for that. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so the first part of the song was whatever, but then it like changed and then it changed again and it kept changing. And I was like, okay, well this is should we tell them to be a little quieter out there?
No.
Neighbors? Okay.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, they like it became so many different things. I kept forgetting we were listening to a black metal song.
Well, I thought to myself,
did some of it sound a little jazzy to you in a way?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I was thinking to myself, like, because anytime I listen to a band,
yeah,
I'm so obsessed with like the live experience that I always imagine myself in the crowd. And I'm thinking to myself, what do the fans of this band look like? Right?
Okay.
So as I'm in this, like the song before that we just did, everybody's in, basically simple black shirt, black jeans.
Okay.
Right? And kind of like a Trent Reznor type look. This band, it's kind of funny almost, because half the people will be in corpse paint. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Corpse paint, looking like the living dead, and then the other people, it's damp and
yeah.
Like, so
I wonder if all their music is like that.
Like, yeah, like I don't. It's like the crowd for this band. you could legitimately pull in both, you know, like some really...
Do you usually do that?
What?
Think about the crowd and what sort of crowd
every single time. Every single time.
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
But it's just something I take for granted because there's usually some pretty good continuity.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you'll get to an oasis or something like that, but most of the time, like, it's like, yeah, this belongs here, this belongs here. This shit really didn't belong.
I like it, though.
Together. It worked.
Yeah.
They made it work like crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. It didn't belong, but it was fun. I enjoyed it still.
To me, it's like those are completely different
Yeah.
crowds, man. Like, the real tragedy of this thing is I'm pretty sure we lost Zonia. Damn it, that's the big tragedy.
Aww.
Delane says I'm wearing my mascara listening to this.
Did you do acting today?
Huh?
He did acting? Oh.
No, I was just saying, like, what does the crowd look like?
Yeah. Okay. Lyrically, what was going on? Some of it was very, weird.
So I know there are blackened heavy metal bands. This was like heavy-ended black metal.
Oh, you know what?
But it was like dancing, though. Like, it was something I could dance to.
We never got to do the poll either. That got shut down.
Yeah, the poll got shut down, too. Yeah. The moment's over. Don't do the poll again. The moment's over, dear listener. Yeah, like I definitely... It was an interesting song. Lyrically... There were definitely some moments lyrically where I'm like, was that really necessary, Mr. Black Metal person?
Yeah.
Was that really necessary, Mr. Black Metal person?
Yeah, okay, so there was a transition in the song, and I guess it would be more in the, like, I don't know, what do you call it? Like, maybe, like, rock category, and I was, like, really enjoying it, and then I looked over and I saw the horror on your face, and then I heard Vin say, are you seeing these lyrics or something like that?
Yeah, some of these lyrics were questionable, as the Mormons say. Questionable. The track you listened to was the last track of the album. The first 60% of the album is more the standard black metal, and the back 40% is more like this track. So
okay.
even more,
Okay.
the weirdos that would come to this show would be completely and totally different. And I don't think they would like each other either. That's the other thing.
Really?
Well, yeah, because the dancey people...
yeah, no, you're right, yeah.
Like, those people would be dancey.
Yeah.
I imagine they'd be kind of laid-back, fun-loving type people.
Yeah.
Whereas the black metal people, you know, black metal people, especially the corpse metal people, they're very serious about their shit. I'm not going to say y'all are pretentious and shit, like showing up with corpse paint and shit, but I remember putting on the corpse paint and stuff for Halloween. I'm like, this takes a really long time.
Yeah.
It takes a really long time. And then I thought to myself, you had to sit there and do that for a really long time. And it just took some of the mystique away from me, to be honest with you. It's like, these people are not really ghosts. They just sat there for about 45 minutes, like, applying this shit with meticularity. You know what I'm saying? So it took away some of the
there's
mystique.
like, I don't care, like, sort of, yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. I can really see that.
Yeah, Vin doesn't like hearing about... Yeah, disgusting. Yeah, so lyrically, we'll get into it a bit, and then I'm going to flee the factory. I'm not going to, you know, yeah.
Far from beyond the horizon. Burning... What do you say that? Aphotic oil? Which is...
Aphotic oil.
Really dark oil?
Black. Oh, Zonia's back. All is well.
Hi!
Hey, Zonia! I was certain we'd lost you forever.
That was his only complaint, was that you were lost.
My only
in all
concern.
Of that.
I was like, damn it, Zonia's not gonna cut. She's not gonna descend down from Mount Olympus. Go ahead, continue.
Grinning and teeth baring, red tongue ensnaring, covered in blistering boils, amphibious, yet conflagrant,
insidious and malignant, slime slung and basking in a cauldron of reeking dead celestial bodies.
Yeah, that was so weird when that part came up, because I like, wait a minute. Like, when I read that part, I was like, dead celestial bodies? That's interesting, because most people...
Maybe he's talking about a black hole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty crazy, though. Reeking of dead celestial body. You never really think about, like the celestial bodies of as like being,
No, you don't.
incarnated to the point where their bodies would reek.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy line. I was gonna wander back into the woods and change my mind. Excellent. Shokri Wabi Baraka. All right, continue.
Okay. The sparks from your rotten maw dance across your crooked jaw and send what?
Scintillation springing from your swollen and pulsating hide.
Okay. Assassinate and tomb. Dismantle egoic womb as molten lead spews from hell's poison flowers bloom. Okay. What is going on? Okay, can you just give me like a bird's eye view of what's going on in this song?
I mean, like I said, once I saw the grossness, I didn't really look at a lot of the lyrics because I said I'm not going to really do a giant Vin breakdown here because this is disgusting to me.
Yeah.
But it looks to... I was initially theorizing this sounds like it might be a black hole, and I'm talking about that because it's a cauldron of reeking dead celestial bodies. Mm-hmm. So, like,
and
if you take that, take that literally, yeah, the aphatic oil. If you take that literally with the clues in sentence 1, and then the dead bodies thing, I'm just assuming it's a black hole and it's being characterized as sort of like an apex predator in a universe. Mm-hmm. Because especially if the star is like big enough and it explodes and that vacuum that gets created, like nobody, nobody really is able to deal with the force of that. So that's what I thought of it.
I'm good with that interpretation, Vin. I don't want to, like, the context of the song, like, the way that they wrote it also doesn't fit, like, the funness of the tail end of the song.
Well, the black metal part of it does, though.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The iridescence of death's wings that unceasingly hovered at the periphery of perception now takes center stage. Yeah. That's an interesting line, though. Because death is always at the periphery. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of always there. It's interesting because, like, as life has gone on for me, it is not in the periphery for me. It's interesting. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. I really don't have. I'm like sitting on your last sentence there, because that could mean a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, okay, so lyrically weird, Yeah, definitely not my thing.
Intoxicate, exhume, necrofornicate, consume. Necrofornicate, that's pretty disgusting. And then you have this line right here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's an interesting variation of eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Darwinian version of it. Mm-hmm. Fuck and die, assimilate, resume. So it's like your entire existence in the universe as a human was to just do those three things, because you're passing down the genes to the next generation, so you've done your job, right? And so it's like do that, and then die, and then assimilate, resume. And big feral eyes peer through soil and stone, fiercely piercing the cortex of superstition as soft lips glisten with excitement. And man's mouth is filled with excrement. My God.
That's so gross. I can't even believe you read that part.
Flesh-eating inserts swarm thy crown, my beautiful, as you reel. Yeah, so it's just it looks to me like the first half of the song is talking about the death of a star. Uh-huh. And then the second half of the song is talking about the death of a person. Of a human. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's what it looks like to me.
Then ends up there?
Yeah, like, because you're both going into the same place, right? Like, if you're looking from, from a nihilistic perspective, you're both going to the same place, which is nothingness. Shout out to Zonia. Zonia, are you still an antinatalist? I actually heard an antinatalist talk a couple days ago. I said, Zonia! Man must die had a similar line. Spawn, hate, die. Yeah. This one was more Darwinian, though. It's a disgusting way to phrase it, but I respect it because it is a very simplified version of that worldview. I wish they wouldn't use such crass language. But if I'm right, and they're talking about the death of the star up top, and then the death of human beings at the bottom, and then of course, you know, it's like we're made of stardust or whatever, and so there's sort of like a relationship between the death of a star and the death of us, on top of the fact that it would just create a giant vacuum and destroy us all. But there's some sort of kinship between your dead body that's being pierced, because it says flesh-eating inserts.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's inserts or insects. Swarm thy crown, my beautiful. As you peel in the fire, your fume rides in the wind to choke lungs of life. You raise me high and break me in two. Yeah. So that's what I think is going on in the song, which I think is extremely brilliant. Lyrically, they're very disturbing, which I'll give them respect for that, because that's what art is supposed to do. Art is supposed to stay with you. This is horrible art, though. Horrible art. Crass language, Vin? Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you. I believe the language was a bit crass. You don't think so? You don't think so, Dwayne? You think that this is proper language for the ears of the youth? This is corruption.
Ears of the youth.
This is corruption, Dwayne, and I will not stand for it. I will not stand for it. Right,
Vin, there are so many versions of Vin. You never know what you're going to get. He's like a box of chocolates.
9.2. Disgusting.
Why?
9.2.
Shout out to, what is that? What was that movie? Life is like a box of chocolates. But
Motherfucker, this ain't for the youth. This ain't for the youth. Here comes Neil. Well, Behemoth is wrong as well. Duh, no shit. I agree.
Okay, I'm going to give this one, lyrically, a 7.2. Sonically, 8.9.
So what's the actual score?
Well, there's a reason I busted it up like that. I was having trouble.
Right, but now that you've had time to think,
Forrest Gump. Thank you, Sonia.
What's the actual what? Forrest Gump?
I was doing a shot when I said Vin is like a box of chocolates, and you were like, gross, because it says you never know what you're gonna get. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know.
Oh, he said my mother always said life is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, and instead I said you were, because of the old versions. You said it was crass.
It is crass, disgusting. Because of that, I'm going to give it a 9.4. I was going to give it a 9.2, but because it was so disgusting,
that's high.
I had to give it my respect.
Wow,
so
okay.
Respect to this horrible band. Most of the time when I see very complex lyrics like that, I'm like, I got to talk to these people, but I'm going to go ahead and pass, actually. I don't want to talk to y'all. You're corrupting the youth. This is what I believe.
And I don't want to see a visual of what you were talking about. Gross.
Corrupting the youth. That should be the name of your band now. Yep. Corrupting the youth.
Yeah. Okay, up next is Michael Jackson.
This is crazy. I don't understand how Michael Jackson did not get front page in the title.
Well,
we just put MJ on there. I mean, my God. That could be anybody. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, go ahead. 9.5 Neil gave it.
Okay. Up next is Michael Jackson. Actually, can I get a timestamp?
Timestamp is, for this one, is 19.30. Ugh, what a freaking disaster that thing died on us. Mother flower. Spectrum Internet. I swear to God, I'm going to sue you guys.
There's a reason, I'm sure. Okay.
Yeah, probably God didn't want us to corrupt the youth.
That's true. God did interrupt their song, no matter what you said.
You know what's funny? I was going to listen to the song again until he said that.
Until he told you to?
Yeah.
Why?
Literally.
Why?
Huh?
Why? You felt controlled?
You know how I get. You know how I get.
Yep, I do. Okay.
To black people, Black Queen, but not everybody else. My God.
Okay. we have Sin and Glory training montage winner. Is this going to get our channel shut down?
It's very possible.
I feel like we weren't able to do Michael Jackson before.
Very possible that MJ will get us shut down. Let's
Michael
try
Jackson Jam. The comments are...
What?
I'm just getting the timestamp. Okay. They said, in our previous theme poll map pin, we chose where we would travel in summer. Okay. In training montage theme, we got in shape for the beach. Members submitted songs that they had in their training playlists. Members voted Michael Jackson's Jam for the winner song. It's from his 8th album, Dangerous. This pick is the Black Queen's workout jam.
Is it really?
Yep.
Is it really? All right. Well, now I'm very invested in this song again.
And now we know who to go after if we get shut down.
That's right. God didn't want you to lie about having human legs. A curse be upon you. A curse, I say. All right, guys, here we go. Hey, Michael Jackson Jam. Let's do it. Did you send me the lyrics?
Yeah, you already have a book.
2, 3.
This is the moonwalk, bitches.
It ain't too hard for me to jam. 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 It ain't too hard for me to jam.
Feeling spicy tonight. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys, this made absolutely no sense, but when we were kids, so Michael Jordan, as you can see here, that's MJ, and that's MJ, right?
Okay.
So they did a
Wait.
video.
One of them, Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson, are up there?
Yeah, so that's Jordan, right, holding
Okay.
out the ball,
Yeah.
and that's MJ doing the, his little signature move right there,
Okay.
right? So I did do the moonwalk. And then Archero, because he's a racist, had to ruin it for everybody. Talking about, those are your fingers, Vin. Racist bastard. Racist bastard. Okay. Where was I before I was interrupted?
You were telling
by
us
the
about
whites?
this. You're telling me about these characters back there.
Yeah, so the characters back there are just legends. It's just literally the two goats of, like, literally what they do. And here you are. So Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan did like a Pepsi commercial together. I believe they also did this video together.
Okay.
Right? So when he said, ain't too much for me.
Yeah.
Right? When we would sing this song as kids, we would say, jam, and then we would say, ain't to a basketball game.
Did you know?
I had no idea what the actual lyrics were. And then when I was looking for the lyrics, I'm like, I'm finally going to figure out what he actually said, because the odds of him actually saying ain't to a basketball game is very, very low. Mm-hmm. Very, very low. So then I started looking for the lyrics in the song, and I still didn't catch it until like the bottom third of the song, because he was saying ain't too much for me, but he added a syllable to it because he's Michael Jackson. So he's like, ah. So he's like, ain't too much for me. Mm-hmm. It's not ain't too a basketball game. It's ain't too much for me, but he added the ah. Mm-hmm. So it added a syllable. So
were you disappointed
at
what you said?
No, I'm like, okay, I'm liberated. I understand now. I think it was for Space Jam, actually. I'm not sure, but I think it was for Space Jam. Actually, I'm not sure, but yeah. So I finally cracked the mystery.
After all these years.
After all this time, my little brother was a big Michael Jackson fan. I'm sure he knows the lyrics all now, but he was actually saying, "Ain't too much for me," not "Ain't to a basketball game." So there's that.
What? Ain't to a basketball game doesn't even make sense.
Well, again, he was doing it with Michael Jordan. Plus, we were little kids,
Yeah.
man. What do we know
How old
about
were
it?
you?
There was no Google. I don't know, but we were pretty small.
All right, that's cute. All right. Well, first of all, when it first started, the going back and forth from ear to ear, I didn't know what was going on. I thought there was something wrong with my headphones. I kept trying to plug in the cord. I checked down there to see if there was something going on. The singing, that's when I asked, like, does it sound wiggly?
Yeah, no, I knew what you were saying.
And you expected it to be like that, so you knew what was going on.
I just didn't notice it at all.
What?
I didn't
Literally,
notice it.
I would not be able to listen to this song for working out. It would actually get on my nerves, that panning back and forth from the ears.
Black Queen is saying, I think the panning headphone is an issue with the uploader. They probably did that to avoid the copyright.
Oh.
But I didn't notice it.
It was so distracting for me. I couldn't even believe they would produce such a song that did that. And you didn't, it wasn't a problem for you. That's so interesting.
I didn't even notice it.
You didn't notice it?
I did not. What's up, Myron?
Well,
Myron says, what's happening? What's happening is we just cracked the code. We just cracked the code, dear listener. We figured it out.
That's unfortunate because I don't really know what I didn't really like this song. I'm so sorry. But it was because the panning back and forth in the ears was so disruptive to me that I was like, it was like agitating.
I care not. I care not. I care. This is Michael Jackson. It's a classic. You didn't like Shakespeare or whoever.
How many
What's
days?
his name?
How many days, babe?
What do you mean?
How many days are you not going to speak to me over this?
Oh. I don't know. I don't know how many days I'm not going to speak to you on it, but it's going to be for quite some time.
It's going to be significant.
It won't be that significant. But the other thing is I don't think these lyrics are right. There's other stuff that he was saying, but I have to find my peace because no one seems to let me be. False prophets cry of doom, but what are the possibilities? I told my brother there'll be problems, times, and tears for fears. We must live each day like it's the last. Go with it, and jam.
Did he have a hard upbringing?
Well, I mean, they got big when he was like 8, 9 years old. I mean, he was a little child. Like he literally like grew up, like in front of the world, like as a kid. I bet if MJ was white, Sorry would have liked it.
I thought he was white.
MJ was not white when this came out. See, this was the 90s. We was all on our Farrakhan energy. All the black people wearing them shirts. It's a black thing. You wouldn't understand. But I can't believe you asked me if Michael Jackson had a bad upbringing. I mean, the Jackson 5, he started out as like a little kid. I may be a little kid, but my heart is as big as Texas. No. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Yeah, this dude, like...
We weren't allowed to watch any of his stuff, obviously. I mean, all of his dance movements...
He was literally a child. There was no dance movements. He was a child.
What do you mean there was no dance movements?
He was a child. I'm trying to tell you.
He didn't do any dance.
What I'm talking about, you asked me about his childhood. Mm-hmm. He wasn't doing any dancing as a kid. It was the 5 of them up there, and they were doing like the doo-wop stuff. The doo-wop. You know, that type of shit.
Oh, well. I mean, it was still secular. It wasn't Christian, right? So we couldn't do any of that. But I actually thought that he had some dance moves like Elvis.
Your parents are probably just racist.
Oh, my gosh.
He was a little kid.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he was white or not. Ridiculous. What white kids was I watching?
Joseph Jackson was insanely abusive to his children. Yeah. He was horrible. He never, Michael never really got over his childhood, honestly. But what I liked about Michael Jackson, which doesn't, there's Sorry there's Sorry going through ChatGPT again.
I'm asking whether or not he danced, and you said he didn't, and I wanted to, because I didn't believe that.
We talked about it. He did not doing any dancing when he was in the Jackson 5 because he was a child, is what I said. You can
5 years old, dancing and singing with his brothers in the Jackson 5.
Okay, we continue. So you can go back and look at what I actually said, and then I think you'll be able to piece it together. But
wow.
What I liked about the song, I don't want to say it's missing from all of pop today, but Michael was always saying some shit.
What do you mean?
Beat It was really like, look, man, get out of here. de-escalate the conflict. Don't physicalize the conflict because you could die. Like, it was catchy. It was, you know, you felt cool rocking the jacket. I mean, a little bit before our time, but still you felt cool. But like the lyrics to Beat It, he was saying some real shit. You know, beat it. No one wants to be defeated. Showing how strong and funky your fight. It doesn't matter who's wrong or right. Just beat it. Mm-hmm. Like, he's really talking some shit. And if you look at this song, I never even knew. I didn't even know this. All I was thinking about was Jam. The Osmonds were Story's favorite. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you could call that dancing what the Osmonds did, too.
What is the Osmonds?
La ilaha illallah.
The Osmonds.
Okay, so I have to find my piece because no one seems to
Don't know who they are.
Nation to nation, all the world must come together, face the problems that we see, then maybe somehow we can work it out. I asked my neighbor for a favor. She said later, what has come of all the people? Have we lost love of what it's about? I have to find my piece because no one seems to let me be. False prophets cry of dooms. What are the possibilities? Like,
did he write his own?
He's talking about like real shit like that's happening in the world. And, you know, I think Jam here is like, just dance your problems away or use the music to like get through the problems.
Yeah. But
I really like that concept. Like, and like, this is real. Like, false prophets cry of doom, but what are the possibilities?
Yeah.
Also, when Michael single-handedly ended racism with his later song, Black or White, yeah. You can be my baby. It don't matter if you're black or white. And then we used to make fun, and this is ironic. I used to make fun of my little brother because, as I said, we were in the 90s. We were in our Farrakhan energy, right? We was like, you know, fucking Pan-African, all this shit. And in the song, it's like, I think it's an Egyptian thing, and I don't know what's going on. But that was one of the lyrics. You can be my baby. It don't matter if you're black or white. And then my brother was saying, he's like, oh, I'm going to marry a white girl, blah, 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 blah. Oh. And we were like, what? You going to marry a white girl? What's wrong with that? We were making fun of him and shit.
Which one was that?
That was Jamie. That was Jamie's doing that shit.
He did, do. He did marry a white girl.
Off and married a white girl. But yeah, like, he's really talking about, I doubt they found the Huxtables acceptable.
I doubt it.
That's the Cosby Show.
Oh, no, we couldn't. Mm-mm. Nope.
So what I'm trying to say is, even in this song, he's saying some shit because it's really in style in Christian circles, evangelical circles. The evangelical circles, you know, it's all doom and gloom, and like evangelicals, generally speaking, get happy when something bad happens because they think that that's going to bring the rapture. I remember when 9/11 happened, and like obviously everybody in the class was like going crazy, and you know there were a couple people that were like, okay, you know, like we're going to war, and I'm signing up, and people signed up like for real. And
how could they sign up? You guys were old enough for that?
Yeah, I mean seniors in high school, you know, so like people were like. But then when I went to church, the evangelicals were all excited. They were like, oh man, this is it. Mm-hmm. And oh, they're going to go after Israel and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, you better get ready. And so like, that's the entire theological structure. It's like this doom and gloom about all the horrors that are going to happen and all the rest of it. And then when things get really bad, Jesus is going to snatch the church out of the way so that the worldlings and the secularists can deal with the hell of the Antichrist and all the rest of it. And like, that's the message I grew up with. And most evangelicals who grow up with that mindset don't even know that there are other ways to interpret the Bible so that you actually have a good future and so that you are encouraged actually to fight for a good future at having a Christian identity. That you know what I'm saying? And so like if you look at what he's saying in the song, false prophets speak of doom. What are the possibilities? Like, that's such a good question to ask. So like that's the thing, like Michael Jackson has said and done things. People make fun of him, whatever. And I get it, you know, I understand human nature, whatever. But like, dude was really trying to say something. He was and he was tormented, obviously, by his celebrity and his fame. He never got to be a kid, you know what I'm saying? So he, you know, I get all that, but at the same time, he was really, really thinking shit through. And whether or not he wrote these specific lyrics, he chose these lyrics.
Yeah.
The other thing too is about the verse, the cadence is like a part of the reason I turned my back to organized religion. Yeah, no, controller. I mean, I agree because it's like, how can you celebrate death and destruction? Because you think that you're now gonna have a, you know.
It's weird because obviously I grew up in that mentality where it was like, okay, well, there's always gonna be fighting in the Middle East, and there was this sort of like
Bible doesn't say that.
No, that was just what we were. You know, there was this sort of like celebration when stuff like that, wars and rumors of wars, because anytime something was going bad over there, you were super disconnected from the pain of those people. And just, it was all about like, okay, the rapture is going to be happening. So it is weird. That's one of the things that's weird about like growing older is like, you look back at like time periods of your life and it's like it's almost hard to believe that those belief systems were so solid in my mind on this side of it. Cause it's like, but it is like that what, and it's hard to believe like, if honestly, probably if you weren't in the picture, I probably wouldn't even believe that I had the mindsets like that to the degree that I did. Because it's not like I spent a lot of time thinking about it. That part where he said, I asked my neighbor for a favor, she said later, that's, you know, like that verse that talks about, you know, like if somebody comes and they ask you for something, and if you have it, give it to them. Don't, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why I say like whether or not he wrote it, because it's hard for me to imagine that he wrote that lyric. But he sung it with a lot of conviction. And I love the cadence too.
I feel like I would have liked it better played out loud and not in those headphones.
I wish he would have really gotten into metal. I know that he did like some stuff with Axl Rose and all the rest of it, but man, if he would have gotten like some metal, like some like raw, like heavy shit, I just wonder what like we would have heard, because he had a lot of angst. You could tell in this song, like he had a lot of angst. Even though this was a pop song, there was a lot of real angst, I'll say, in the song itself. And the song's a lot deeper if you really, really look down at what the lyrics are saying.
Controller, when you ask which view, I need to know which view specifically, because I kind of blasted out a couple of
that everything's going to get worse. And
no, I think they still believe that.
Yeah, they
I think that my mother will talk a little bit more like things might get better, but I think at her core she probably still has the same belief system that we had. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird when that happens because like the thought processes are so different now than they were when I was growing up that in some ways it makes you feel like you don't belong somewhere, like, because I always thought like you'd always be able to, you know, your parents are always going to be, but I don't know, there's something weird about it because it's like I don't know, I can't really actually put my finger on it, but it just feels like,
well, it leads to a lot of apathy with social issues.
Yeah.
Because to them, it's like predestined that everything is going to turn to shit. So you're like, man, these kids are in cages. And it's like, yeah, I mean, and it's like, it's only going to get worse. That's the other thing, too. It's like that mentality, like, it's only going to get worse. Like, I remember one time, one of these pastors, shout out to John MacArthur, he was mocking social justice warriors as people who were rearranging the furniture on the Titanic. That was kind of his famous line. And so it's like, this is a guy, he's a multimillionaire, he lives in California, you know, put it this way, this guy's so privileged that when he and his wife contracted COVID, because they wouldn't shut down the church. They wouldn't shut down the church during the COVID outbreak. They kept going because they were fighting for the Lord. People died in his church. When he and his wife got COVID, They didn't announce it till a year later. They said that he was taking a break. He had his own personal medical regimen in his house. You see what I'm saying? And so it was like, he was, oh yeah, MJ with Korn would have been crazy. Crazy. Yeah, Dirty Diana, yeah. Yep, but like just like as a metal song with some like da-dun, da-dun, ba-dun, da-dun type shit. But yeah, like it that kind of mentality, religiously speaking, it like leads to a lot of apathy.
Yeah, it does. But I don't think that the whole kids in cages thing wasn't connected to the, well, there's always going to be, the world is getting worse. The justification was there, but not for those reasons.
Then, did you ever see MJ telling people during his concert that he quit the label and if he dies that they probably did it?
Oh my gosh.
No, I did not see that. All of these like fallen heroes, they always like leave out these breadcrumbs that they're gonna die. Tupac did it, Biggie did it, Vaughn did it. Like, it's weird. It's very, very strange. We didn't get the second verse breakdown. Well, let me see. We might get the second verse breakdown.
Jam, here comes the man. Hot damn, the big boy stands with an upper hand. Making funky tracks with my man Michael Jackson. Smooth criminal, that's the man, because Mike's so relaxed. Jingle, mingle, jingle in the jungle. Bum rush the door, 3 and 4s in a bundle. Execute the plan, first I cooled it like a fan. Got with Janet, then with a guy, now with Michael. Because it
ain't too hard to jam.
Oh, it says aren't.
So there you go. There you are. I think that was that, who was that? Was that Heavy D? Was that Heavy D that was doing that? I don't remember who did the hip hop part, but that was 90s hip hop for all you new jacks. No auto tune. Basic ass rhymes though. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Not a lot of.
That's kind of why I
not
asked
a lot
if
of
he
wordplay.
There's not, but like the concepts, like you said, there was some deep stuff in there.
Well,
but
that line was the rapper. That wasn't MJ. That was the rapper that jumped in there and did that part.
Okay, but I mean, even the other stuff wasn't like. I know somebody that raps better.
Yeah, I'm a much better rapper than Heavy D, Garrett, for sure. But I like any rapper that came through my specific generation. I was just talking about this with my brother. We actually had the best generation of rap music. Like, that's undisputed. The generation before us, what we used to call old school, was like hip hop, a hippity. I mean, come on, this is Dr. Seuss shit. You know that. And now this generation of rappers, like, they're better musicians because they have to sing. So they're better musicians than we were by a mile. Like, if you don't know how to sing in this current iteration of hip hop, it's over for you. But as far as like lyrically, as far as like the art form of rap, we had the best generation of rap. And you could any, meeny, miny, mo any rapper in our era.
Too.
You could any, meeny, miny, mo any rapper in our era, and they're gonna be better than a rapper in this era and a rapper in that era.
Yeah, I think you're right. Even the limited, you know, from what I've seen of it. But so was Michael Jackson like? You know how like if you're not, if you don't know certain things, that you just don't know them. You know, like that's such a silly phrase, but like for instance, if you're white and you've been raised in a white environment, then every show that you watch, even if it's as limited as my upbringing was, the majority of the people are white. And so you don't even realize that when there's a black person put in the cast, you know, they either get killed off first or they're, you know, like they don't play like the significant parts in shows. Mm-hmm. So was there like...
When you were growing up.
Yeah, like I think when, you know, like the Cosby Show I think was mostly black or all black. I don't really know.
Yeah, the Cosby Show was a black show. The Fresh Prince was a black show. A Different World was a black show. Like, we had black shows in our ecosystem. It's just you were not exposed to them.
Was Michael Jackson like? Well, yeah, I know. But were most people exposed to black shows? Like, was it mainstream? Like, you know how people will say like we didn't see ourselves represented on the TV.
I think the Cosby Show was a mainstream show.
Yeah,
Show.
because I remember hearing about Show.
Cosby was the most mainstream show, but like, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a pretty popular show. That was a black show. So like, you had them, but you were definitely not going to get exposed to them.
So what about
Martin? Great black show. I was showing her Martin a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Martin.
So when Michael Jackson made it on the big screen or whatever, I don't know, because I wasn't like aware at this time period of what was happening musically.
Yeah.
So when he got out there and he started like making a name for himself, was it one of those things where it was like where black people felt like we're being represented by greatness out there?
Nah.
Or like what's the big, like it feels like anybody that is black that talks about Michael Jackson, there's like this high excitement, almost like the excitement that you see like when kids are going to get to go to a theme park. It looks like they go back to their childhood and live that same moment of excitement, and I haven't seen that with other artists. I think
there's a couple. Well, first of all, like his nickname was the King of Pop. Like he, black, white, whatever. When he was in his prime, he was the biggest thing ever in the world ever. Like black, white, did not matter.
Okay.
Like he was the biggest thing ever in the world, and he was just such a like singular figure. Like I don't think a lot of us could identify with Michael because he was just like literally he was like a divine being, and it wasn't like today. It's like it's so hard to explain to my kids what rock stardom and pop stardom actually is, because which I think is a good thing. Kids today do not understand the concept of idolizing a star, because all their stars are accessible. They literally know that what their star ate for dinner yesterday.
Yeah.
Now all these stars, like they're actually forced to get on Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. I just saw like Oprah on Twitter and shit trying to get subs. Like it's crazy. Like Oprah's like subscribe.
That's a funny thought.
You know what I'm saying? Like subscribe, and it's like okay, like we have more subs than Michelle Obama. What's going on? But like,
that's such a crazy thought.
You know, back then, Michael was just huge. Like yeah.
And that was what he just was better performing wise than everybody else. Like
he had the entire package. His vocal style was extremely unique.
Yeah.
Extremely unique. His dress was extremely unique.
Right.
He could dance. You know, he was going into the ghettos and like getting dance moves from the kids, and the songs he were doing they were just hitting. Like these are classic songs. Beat It. Like he went through a run one time when everything was like the greatest song in the world, and like, it was just insane.
How many greatest songs did he have?
I mean, he's got a lot of them. I mean, so you know. And honestly, like black people, it got to the point just like we do with all our stars. Like black people ended up like toward the like late 90s. You know, we started kind of disowning him. He had
why?
Well, he had vitiligo, which is basically a skin disease, and then that's why he said he bleached his skin. So like he basically became like white, like whiter than you.
Oh no, I know, I've seen it.
And then the whole
but he got a nose job too.
Oh yeah, he did a lot of things, and then like he.
Did you guys see like varying degrees of the vitiligo or whatever, or?
I mean,
I never
it
went
saw
from black to white.
I never saw the vitiligo. I never saw it, never heard of it, never. I mean, he used to wear this glove. He had one glove.
Yeah.
And apparently that was because he was trying to cover up his vitiligo because it was on that hand. You know, like, I don't know. Like, it could have been a freckle. You know what I'm saying? He was obviously neurotic. And then, of course, you had the whole accusation of him, like, with the child molestation thing. And there's people that believe it. There's people that don't. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But he had a thing for kids because he never had a childhood. And, you know, like, he was just a singular figure. I mean, yeah, his hair got lit on fire. He didn't bleach. He used a medication that uses chlorine chemicals to lighten the dark spot that were left behind. He was very careful about it, but there are photos where it's visible. That's how about his vitiligo. So, you know, he ended up dying because he had a live-in anesthesiologist.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
And
did that person go to jail for that?
I think he did. I remember where I was. Actually, the Misery Machine is actually the one that told me he died.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like she hit me up. She's like, "Yo, Michael Jackson's died." I was like, "What? No." And then I called up my little brother because he was such a big Michael Jackson fan, and he was fucked up for like a week, because he had one stretch where like every single day Michael Jackson had this movie called Moonwalker.
Yeah.
And every single day we had to watch fucking Moonwalker from beginning to end. It was ridiculous.
Was it a good movie?
I don't know how he got. That's what I was talking to Junior a couple days ago. I don't know how the hell he got away with it. Like, that's how spoiled you were, bro. Like, every fucking day we had to watch Moonwalker. And the other thing too, he invented the moonwalk. You know, that little backwards walk. Everybody went crazy.
Yeah, I remember. See, that's one of the things. Like, I remember being, I don't know, 12 or something. Don't really know for sure. And I remember the kids in the neighborhood doing the moonwalk. I don't know if I was 12. I mean, I'm guessing, but they were doing the moonwalk. There was like this. There was also a dance that I think that the Hansons were doing. I'm not sure. Like, so I heard about music like a little bit from my friends because they were like really really like excited about this stuff. But I thought that they were like excited about going to hell basically because that music was looked at so negatively that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But it did look fun, some of the dance moves that they would do.
Yeah.
The footwork and stuff.
He was sought out for propofol. Yeah, he OD'd on it, whatever. Like, you know, I mean, it is what it is. There's conspiracy theories to this day that he was
He did it on purpose?
assassinated by his record label or whatever.
What?
Yeah. So, yeah.
For what purpose?
Like,
Was
Amy
there
was talking about it. Because
he
quit the label, he bought back his masters, whatever. He was going to become too powerful. I don't know. But to me, I don't really think that it was anything that exotic. I just think he was a dude that he played around with that shit.
Wow.
Like, he told his parents that, he told his mom and his sister that it brings you to the edge of death or whatever. But that's the thing, is like when people are like fucked up like that, they kind of flirt.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he flirted, he fell over on the other side. It is
Apparently
what it is.
that guy went to jail for prison for 2 years.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be 4 years, but they got switched to 2.
All right, this is a 10.
That's crazy.
Get the fuck out of here. The Hansons are your third cousins?
My neighbors were in love with them, which I'm sure was like everybody was. I was so confused at that whole concept, like being in love with somebody that was on a picture in your room. It was so weird to me. Like, I'm sure they looked at us like we were weird neighbors, but like that to me, I know it was normal for like other kids, but it was so weird to me to see that because we were so like separated from it that I was like, well, I don't understand. You're never going to meet this person. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, she had that picture of him, that classic one with his blue eyes.
Like, no Diddy. I understand the obsession with Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Like,
have you seen recent pictures?
Nah. But I remember that show, Home Improvement, and I remember the girly magazines. I'd be like, okay, I understand. Like, the dude was very, very, very handsome young man. Okay, I'm going to give this one a 10 because it's Michael Jackson, whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't want to dock it for the switching back and forth with the headphones because I think you're probably right. And I think that if it was like on speakers, it would have been different. So I'm going to give it a 9.8.
All right, there you go, dear listener. Michael Jackson, we gave it the full treatment. I hope we honored you, big boy. All right, next song. What's the next song? Look, we're going back to the metal.
Look.
Good for him. Good for him.
All right.
He apparently doesn't care about Hollywood anymore.
All right. Okay. So we have up next, we are going to be doing this song is called Budgie. The band is called Budgie. ROA's hard rock and proto metal winner. Budgie Breadfan is the name of the
Breadfan.
Breadfan is the name of the song. Okay.
Didn't Metallica do a song called Breadfan?
I thought Breadfan sounded familiar, to be honest with you. What are we at? Oh yeah, I was like, why are we only at 1 hour? Oh, that's because our
stream was assassinated.
Wow. Okay. So the comment is for the winner of ROA's genre, pull hard poll, hard rock and proto-metal members voted Welsh hard rock heavy metal band Budgie with their song Breadfan. The song is from their third album, Never Turn Your Back on a Friend, from 1973.
Budgie, not Bungie.
Budgie.
Budgie.
Metallica covered the... You know what? Listen, I'm just going to say right now that I think that they did us a massive disservice in school by obsessing over commas, because I'm always looking for friggin' commas to know where my voice fluctuation should be, and there's never commas in this stuff. So they taught us like to be obsessed with it, but now almost everything that you read doesn't have commas.
I was never taught to be obsessed with it.
Oh my word, they were like neurotic about friggin' commas in private school. Okay, Metallica covered the song in 1987, and you've actually heard that cover around 5 years ago on the Rockathon. So we did
do it.
Yes,
we did figure it out.
This was OSC Tripping's pick. And Vin, I already sent you the lyrics.
OSC Tripping. OSC Tripping is starting to get himself a little reputation.
I just can see that my iron is in there still on. So maybe you want to take a little break also so I can go in there? Or what do you want to do?
What's going to happen to it? Okay. Well, I'll do a little Ask Me Anything while we get that problem taken care of. Comatose. Comatose. I see what you did there. Somebody asked me a question quickly. Please listen to Vin and Sorry. Please listen to Calling All Enthusiasts by Radio 4. It's excellent British funk. Maybe you can get an alliance to create a funk night or a funk poll or something like that. Sometimes I'll be in the what do you call it? I'll be in the thingamajiggy and I'll see a notification pop up. But see, I don't get to comment in Discord because I'm on read only. I'm like, how in the world am I on read only in Discord? Racism. The Metallica cover is awesome. I'm so sad I didn't get to jam the Rockathon. I was not into the whole hangout on the stream thing back then. Were you even around back then, Ben? Favorite MJ song is probably Beat It. My best friend in the hood, Sharif. Shout out to Sharif, gang. We'd always say that to each other because we were always trying to keep each other from doing some dumb shit. So he'd be like, "Yo, beat it, Vincent." So Beat It was my favorite Michael Jackson song, and then a very very close second is They Don't Care About Us. Yeah. Are you a taco or a burger guy? If Soraya if Soraya is cooking, then I'll be a taco guy. I don't think I'll eat anybody's tacos except for Soraya's anymore. I will eat a Five Guys burger, but that's about it. You should have full access to the Discord except for the announcement channels. Lies! all I am is on read only. Like Kellendraw said something one time. I was like, wait, not that. I couldn't do anything. Who's your favorite 90s rapper? Well, Big died in 97, Notorious B.I.G. I mean, the greatest rapper of all time. That shit was the worst line I ever heard in my life because the greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to take a new timestamp.
All right, new timestamp is, for video 2, is 1:04:30.
Okay.
All right, guys, this is Budgie, Breadfan. Let's go. Hard shell. Can't stand soft shell tacos. Let's do it.
That's so funny. We're having tacos tonight and hard shells. That's so weird.
Talk to Zonia, pony.
Okay.
What year was this, guys? What year was this?
I like that.
This is like proto metal in this bitch.
Weird when it does that.
at it.
You can play it?
Yeah,
you should definitely play it. I want to see you play it.
You can play that.
I don't want to. I want to see you play it. Oh my gosh, I loved this song.
Yeah, I think I like this one better than the Metallica one. Although I don't know how deep we were into the Rockathon.
Well,
when I heard the Metallica version.
Yeah, I don't know either. Wow. I loved this. I liked the I liked the guitar playing. I liked the female vocals. Like her vocal style was like that's sort of
was
like
that a female?
off.
Was that a female singing?
I thought it was sort of off. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like definitely traditional. I liked the coloring of the video. Like it had like that old
Sepia.
like yeah,
that sepia color.
Yeah, like that 70s sort of coloring. The song like kept moving. I think I like that sort of. Would you have said? Oh, look. Would you have said like it has like a 70s and 80s sound to it? Or maybe
yeah.
Like because it had a sort
What's
of like
RHCP? What band is that? Go ahead.
It had like a I don't know if you're not supposed to say the word hippie anymore, but like a
really?
hippie.
You can't say hippie.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really like follow it. I think it's probably fine. It had like a hippie vibe to it. And like the hippie vibe to me is always like patchouli. And
yeah, that studio, you could smell the weed in the patchouli.
Not a lot of stress.
You could see the weed in the patchouli in the studio for sure.
Yeah, bare feet.
No, apparently this is a dude. This was a dude who was. I thought it was a girl too, but I knew it. But it was a dude.
Okay, I mean, apologies, but I don't think the person's still alive anymore.
Red Hot Chili Peppers are. I've heard a lot of bands do that progression. That like I've heard a lot of people use that progression.
It was so fun sounding. I seriously want to hear you do that. I mean, big time. I think I loved it. I loved this song. What are the lyrics?
Okay, so I'll get the lyric. It looked like it was about money.
Money.
Yeah,
Really?
and
okay.
about like not being obsessed with money.
Breadfan.
Although.
Open up your mind, yeah.
Although, this again, I don't know who gave us the lyrics for these songs, but a couple of them were not matching the video.
That's
so,
you.
We'll have to deal with that. Who?
That's you. I'm not sure.
Huh?
I don't want to name them.
Who was the person that sent you these bad lyrics?
Well, look.
Who are they? Misery Biz.
Oh, no.
What happened, Misery Biz? Why did you send us all these bad lyrics, bruh?
Yeah, you showed up all on time.
See, I agree with that. Hippies were just native wannabes. I agree with that. Talking about live off the land and shit, walking around with feathers in their head, all type of shit. I'm like, they didn't even do that shit, bro. Get out of here. So I'll give you that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Breadfan, open up your mind, open up your purse, open up your vault. Never gonna lose it. Bread, which I'm assuming is dough, right?
Oh.
You know, like dough.
Yeah.
Dough, bread. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, they used to have this thing called bread tube. I don't know if that's similar.
Bread tube?
Yeah, I was in a debate one time. And it's, this guy Vin, he's a bread tuber, blah blah blah, grifter, blah blah blah. So I'm like, that must mean it's bad, whatever it is. But
still, my favorite thing is when you know what it is, when they called you
a charlatan.
That's my favorite. A charlatan.
You're a charlatan, Vin. You're a charlatan. I said I'm a charlatan. I said I'm a lowly YouTuber. What the fuck? Then he got immortalized, and then he never forgave me about it. You know, he never forgave me.
That was it.
He never forgave me.
Okay, so take it all away. Wait a minute. Open up your mind. Open up your purse. Open up your vault. Never gonna lose it. Take it all away. Never give an inch. Gotta make a mint. Gotta make me a million. Okay, so like minting coins?
Yeah, like, mint, da-da-da. You know what I'm saying?
You got it wrong. Some longtime friend's gonna lose it. In the end, who's a fool? Seagull, give it all away. Stay a bird. Stay a man. Stay a ghost. Stay what you want to be.
Yeah, because, seagulls eat bread.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? They eat the bread on the waters.
Steal it.
Yeah.
Seagulls are like notorious for stealing your stuff on the beach. They'll like bust into cans and everything.
Yeah. I think that's probably the seagull. Give it all away. Stay a bird. Stay a man. Stay a ghost. Stay what you want to be. Yeah. It's they're trying to maintain their identity and their principles in light of.
Yeah.
And that's
never stay with the winner with the man with all the filthy money.
That's the all like when I became aware of the valid points of Marxism, let me say it that way. when your eyes get open to that and you go, that's really, really, yeah, it's a fucked up set. We talked about this yesterday. I don't think Marxism is like the perfect solution. But when your eyes get opened up to it, it's like, it's such a dominant system. Capitalism is such a dominant system right now that it's extremely difficult to, especially as an American, how do you get out of it? And so, like, everybody who runs into these situations and is thinking about these things and thinking about money is, I think that's why, lyrically, why this song stands a test of time.
Do you think that, like, spirituality or, like, philosophy is the ways to get out of the material money grab situation, the love of money?
Well, I don't believe, like, a lot of these bands or people that come into money. I don't think the average American loves money, but comparatively speaking, Americans are richer than everybody.
Well,
it's like, I'm not sure that philosophy can get you out of that, because what I'm talking about is a practical system. Like, you're not going to be able to philosophize, paying for the internet. There's no philosophy that's going to make it so that you can think your way into generating the internet. You're going to have to spend capital in order to use the internet. Mm-hmm. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, the system itself makes it so that you have to participate in the system to a certain degree. I think all philosophy can do is get you to participate at varying degrees, or maybe strategize as you operate within that system. So, like, that makes sense. But the other stuff, I don't see how philosophy is going to get you out of that system unless everybody kind of comes together and comes up with a different economic system, which the people at the top of the capitalist pile have no motivation to do so.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, but there's enough of us at the bottom for us to, like, like when you think about, like, the love of money, I don't think that to me, it just kind of sounds like that they're saying they don't want money controlling them. Is that what you got from it?
Yeah, I agree. They don't want to be controlled by money, but they are. That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. Like, I get the, and I guess controlled has different variations of definitions. If you mean controlled by, like, there are some people who are obsessed with money and obsessed with the next dollar, yeah. Sure. But I don't believe most people are like that. I don't even believe most rich people are like that. This is where like, I diverge from, like, Marxists. Like, all rich people are bad. Like, all rich people are bad and money grubbers and crazy. Like, I don't believe that either. So
I don't think
when I say control, but then at the same time, it's like, you don't have to love money to be trapped in a capitalist system, though. You're gonna participate. Like, you have no choice.
Yes. No, I agree. I just think that it shows itself, like, in different forms. Like, I think that ultimately our money should be like the vehicle by which we all take care of each other. Like, I think that, like,
yeah, I agree with that.
The way that we look at things, like, if we could see that, like, I think that we get sort of trapped in this putting physical stuff first, the physical environment that you are in, the cars that you drive, the homes that you live in. I mean, I'm one to talk. I love the place that we live. I mean, friggin', it's top notch here. It's beautiful. But the reason that I love it so much is because the nature that I have around me is really what I love the most about it. But it is beautiful in other regards too. But the simplicity of the nature, and, like, I leave the beauty of the areas to go, to my little sanctuary underneath the trees, and that's, like, my favorite. I love it. But anyway, I just think that. But
somebody that's not at this level can't even get through the gate without having to look over their shoulder.
Yeah.
Because they don't belong here.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like, you have to participate in the system in order to enjoy something that God made for everybody. So that's what I mean about, like, the system itself.
Yeah.
And Jesus kind of conceded that. He said, whose face is on the coin? Caesar's? Okay, give to Caesar what's Caesar's. He's like, you guys are in the system. There's no way out of the system as a person under Roman occupation, there's no way out of the system. So give him what's his, and then in your heart, give to God what's God's. And, you know, that makes sense. I think that's kind of the message in the song to a degree. But it's I'm waiting for the next economic system, for the person who can figure out the next economic system that is both going to encourage ambition and and reward actual merit and reward actual hard work.
Yes. Yes.
Over and against taking care of everybody and not having a homeless person or a person die, and we've got other people with $250 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
So
or
I'm trying to figure out, you know,
or
I'm waiting for that system.
I think the other thing too is, you know, a lot of these super rich people, they don't even have like a bunch of kids because they don't want a bunch of kids, and it is human beings that are going to run our world. Like that is like literally how we, you know, like we do care about, you know, the environment, but more importantly than the environment is the people and the, you know, procreation and stuff, and having people that are going to run society, that are going to build, that are going to continue pushing things forward. And so I think that, you know, that I think that mentality wise, we have to switch as a nation to recognize that the mothers and fathers and the building of the future generation is like, that's top notch. That's what we really need to focus on, and rewarding those things as well, not penalizing. I mean, you have mothers that are stealing diapers, and I saw like it was
very good point.
I've seen this multiple times where somebody gets arrested, like, you know, you see it on as a post or whatever, and the people are getting arrested because they stole diapers. I think that's crazy. I think it's crazy that a mother would be in that situation.
That's a criminal society. A woman is not a criminal. The society is a criminal for putting her in that situation.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's really it's interesting. Like, I'm very sympathetic to a lot of women's rights types of things, but like the concept of the stay-at-home mother as a laborer who should be compensated.
Yeah.
It's nowhere close to being on the radar. We have leave, like medical leave, and our European friends have that. But like, I would love a system where a stay-at-home mom gets compensated like a doctor, because it's like, to your point, if you prioritized, hey, this woman is almost singularly responsible for getting us another generation of human beings who are functional and educated and balanced, and are going to push forward the agenda of our country or whatever. And so that should be a highly sought after position.
Yes. And if you're taking care of that, like the mother's mental health and everything, like if things are not so stressful for the moms and the dads, then they're going to create a different environment for their kids. But the more stressed out that people are because they're stretching things too thin, or, you know, the fact that some people are like, I'd like to be able to educate my kids at home, but I don't think we can afford it. Like, I think that those things are crazy. Like, I think, you know, I was looking up like the happiest children in the world, and they're, the report that I was looking at was it's Dutch children. And the reason that they're so happy is because they don't force education like we do in America. It's more of a relaxed environment, and the education is like, you're teaching them how to be in society, like how to work with their emotions, how to be balanced. And it's a lot of like exploration and games and fun, and they don't put pressure on them for their education. And then there's at a certain age, they have them do a test that steers them in the direction of where their education is going to go, whether it's, you know, like the hands-on type of a person, or you're going at an academic level, like whatever. And then you go through the school system in that way. So you're not, you know, there are some people that are never going to use algebra. They're never going to want to learn it. It's going to be so stressful. And then you force that, like, logic that should be taught to everybody. It's very important that for whatever degrees of intellect you have, you need to be able to think logically.
Yeah, but like the current education system we have does not teach logic.
No, that's why I'm saying, like, the way that we do things.
The current system of education actually encourages kids not to think for themselves.
Yep.
Which is, you know, I'm not going to call them out, but my God, you know, somebody's like, I question Vin's sources. It's like, well, I always talk about my sources, so go check them yourself. The thing that gets questioned is, this is the current narrative. I don't believe the current narrative. Here's why. But everybody's taught to think a very specific kind of way.
Yes.
And so it's like, you'll even have people that be like, question everything. And so like, you'll question the moon landing and they'll go, ha ha ha. It's like, you weren't even alive. What do you mean? Like, you know, and so like real basic things like correlation and causation fallacies and things of that nature, like people don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was just talking to a doctor, and he was telling me, you know, XYZ thing, and I said, no, that's not true. No, you can't get there from physicalism. No, blah 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 blah. But it's like that's what I'm talking about, the entire system.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't account for human nature, I think you have to start with human nature, because the goal of your economic system is the betterment of human beings. Then you have to say, okay, what are we dealing with when we're dealing with a human being then?
Yes.
What is a human being? And what are the composites, and what are the physical and metaphysical ramifications of being human?
Yeah.
One of them is, because we're in the image of God, we can say we're going to be able to learn logic by osmosis if we just let these kids just be who they are and figure shit out for themselves and argue and ask questions. Like my 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating as a parent, but you'll be like, all right, you got to go to bed. He'll say, why? Give me a reason. You know what I'm saying? And like the instinct is to say, just go to what I'm the adult. It's like, so like from almost infancy, they're taught, shut down your faculties of reason, or
Oh, that was the other thing. The Dutch children are taught autonomy.
Yeah.
To be able to say.
That's exactly right. It's like,
that was another thing.
And that's kind of been our philosophy, is like, they will learn logic by themselves because they will ask questions. And then they will expose the fact that you don't know what you're talking about. Because they'll say, why? And, you know, one of my pastor, one of the best teachers, he always said, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you don't know it. And like,
it's a lot of things I realize I don't know because I have so many children.
Right, but then we allow, it's so ridiculous, but we allow them to question us and then to challenge us and to say, you need to come up with a reason for why that is. And if they think, like I was telling my kid, like one of the warning passages in the Bible, and I explained it to him. It was a very serious religious moment, and my kid goes, that's ridiculous. He was like 4 or 5 years old. He looked me dead in the face. He said, that's ridiculous. And
he laughed. I'm pretty sure
he laughed. He laughed. He said, that's ridiculous. I don't think it's ridiculous. I believe it. But to him, it made no rational sense. And like, you can, in that moment, panic as a religious parent and say, oh my God, my child's a hell spawn. Or you can just thank God for the fact that you've got a kid whose mind is working. And what he was saying to me is, my current vision of God, the God that I pray to when I'm worried about monsters at night and things like that, would never do something like that. So what you're saying is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And by God's grace, I didn't smack him. I didn't, you know, like.
You would never smack him for something like that.
I'm just, but like, you know, religious parents and whatever. And
just
it's like,
get overly like,
our crowd here, be like, that's right. But then if they question something at the school, these people have a religious, they don't understand. Like, you've submitted your mind to the religious commitment in the school, you know, and whatever the teacher says, they're supposed to regurgitate it, especially when it comes to, quote, science. I can't tell you how many people like, Vin, and I'll be like, okay, explain to me the basics of natural selection. They don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of moving parts that go into, like, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, but Elon Musk looks to me like the kind of person that's always asking why. Why are we doing it that way? What's going on here? What's going on here? And like, and look at him. You know, and look at our kids. Look at the success. You know, one of them's going to be a lawyer and blah blah blah. He didn't step foot in a conventional school. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I mean, he just woke up one day and decided he was going to get his, you know, his thing, and he went into school and got his thing and left. You know, now he's going to law school. Like,
Yep.
So like you got to build an economic system that accounts for that.
Yep.
And then accounts for human sinfulness that says, if you have enough people that have enough power, they're always going to abuse it. Mm-hmm. Always. So if people are going to abuse power, how do we come up with an economic system that mitigates the abuse of power such that we do not have somebody with $250 billion while we have people on the street?
Yeah.
And that is a very difficult challenge, because one of the reasons is people say the system is the problem. The system is not the problem, because the system was generated by human minds.
Yeah.
It's humanity that's the problem.
Yeah.
But until we recognize that something is really broken in humanity, we're never going to come up with a just economic system. Because we're always going to point to the other people. It's like prior to capitalism, it's like, look, this feudal society, that's the problem. You know, you inherited all this shit. You didn't work for it. You were in this class of people and blah, 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 blah. And we need a merit-based society with laissez-faire and that's where capitalism was born. Capitalism was born out of frustration of injustice. But it didn't factor in the fact that, so you get out of the feudal society or whatever, guess what's going to happen? If a couple people generate enough capital, how do you think they're going to deal with the government? They're going to start buying the government.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Dr. Umar said, like, it's impossible to have a democracy and capitalism at the same time. Because the haves, like, I'll never forget it. Like, Joe Biden, he was doing he was doing what he did or whatever. And it was the mega donors who got him out. Disney and a couple other people said, we're not donating anymore until he gets out. It's like 5 or 6 people.
Wow.
It was Pelosi, the there's like 5 or 6 mega donors,
Yeah.
and George Clooney made a decision for 330 million people. It was a right decision.
Yeah.
But like
still, yeah, the idea.
the ramifications of that are crazy.
Yeah.
So until
that is so crazy when you think about it, because that means
it's
those same 5 people could push for Medicare for all. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly right.
I don't understand how come, like, there are things that are just basic human rights. And I think, like, you know, if you have certain basic things that everybody should have access to, one of them being healthcare. And then you can have the Cadillac stuff on top of that. Like, you want the doctor to come show up at your house instead of having to drive over there? Well, put some extra capital in for something like that. But people should be able to get their insulin. People should be able to go to the doctors. You know, I'm not saying if somebody can't get into the doctor. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, there should still be benefits for people that are like, you know, I want to work extra hard and have extra stuff.
Agree.
Okay,
I agree.
fine.
I agree.
There are other people that don't want to work extra hard. They want to sit in their lawn chair under the sun. You know, like, let them be them. Let you be you. But everybody should have I mean, people. This is insane.
Yeah, it's not so much the ceiling; it's the floor for me, right?
Right. I'm with. Yeah, that's good.
And so it's like if and that's the issue. The issue is you got a bunch of people saying the floor should be here, and then you got another group of people saying the floor should be here, and then it's like, what is the calculus that determines who's right about that? And I don't believe, unless you have theology, I'm sorry, it's just everybody's opinion. It really just is everybody's opinion. And if everybody's opinion, if it's just opinion based, and we, you know, and people talk about, theocracy, it's like, well, okay. This secularism has gotten us, you know, people dying because they don't have insulin, because we're not supposed to impose our morality on people. Remember that?
Yeah.
We can't impose our morality, so you don't get to impose your fiduciary morality on this 250 billionaire.
Yeah, and I thought that
How
that
does
people
that
were
work?
mostly good. Why aren't they picking that?
It's a doctor.
If everybody is mostly good, how are we in this system?
Yeah. So, like, it's a, you know, unless we're all looking at the same thing, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Okay, there's a Breadfan review.
Love this song.
9.5 for me.
9.
Very good conversation.
9.9 for me.
The idea that communism will defeat the oligarchs of capitalism is silly. Said oligarchs will just be oligarchs in communism. The people won't be gone, and neither will the corruption. Yeah, good balance. Musk buying the election for Trump thus buying the kind of access he's gotten. That's why billionaires should not exist. I don't believe in the billionaires should not exist part, but I do believe that the kind of access that he was able to buy should terrify people. But he is so blatant about it. But we were all caught up in the whole, this guy Joe Biden, his mind is gone, that we were not looking at the ramifications of 5 or 6 people
were able to do that.
Were able to make this decision for the entire. So you had 5 or 6 people on the Dem side, and you had, I won't say one guy, because you had Peter Thiel, you had the Koch brothers, you had all that. But again, it's the same kind of elites, establishment, whatever you want to call it, on quote both sides of the, that were making decisions for everybody.
Yeah.
And are still making decisions for everybody. To Controller's point.
Yeah.
And we saw what communism did. Communism wasn't a free society either, obviously. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I think if you say the sky's the limit for the ceiling, but here's a limit for the floor, I think we can get into a good direction. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan of saying millionaires or billionaires should not exist. I'm not a fan of saying that. Mm-hmm. Because I do think that there are very unique, special people who can push us forward, like Henry Ford, right? Like, those people should exist, and if they do something that changes humanity and pushes our evolution forward, I don't have a problem with them being compensated for it. I do have a problem with them controlling the entire world, though. You know what I'm saying? And maybe somebody's going to make the argument, well, once you hit $1 billion, you get to control the world. There's no way to keep that in check. I don't know.
Access to water isn't even human right.
The United States and 40 other countries abstained from the UN vote to recognize access to water as a basic human right.
I can't even believe we have to vote on something so ridiculous.
That is so crazy to me. Off to work and being a good wheel in the Norwegian state capitalist society. That is so crazy. Yeah, to your point, the fact that this has to even be a resolution is fucking crazy. But yeah, man, we're basically good.
Yeah. I feel like this proves our point.
Yeah, Kai, this shows humanity's basically good. We had 40 countries abstaining from a fucking basic thing of saying, I'm assuming, clean drinking water where you don't get malaria and all types of shit.
Why?
Why
would they abstain from
mothers
voting?
can't nurse their kids because they have no water to convert to breast milk. Like, yeah, man, but human beings are basically good. We had 40 countries abstain. Allahu Akbar. Unbelievable.
Yeah, who owns the rain?
All right. Well, we got one more song for you beautiful people. What's the name of this one more song?
All right, so the last song on our list tonight is Thin White. Oh,
that is fucking incredible.
I literally.
Sometimes I'm surprised. I get surprised by shit. I probably shouldn't be, but here we are. Go ahead.
The name of the band is Thin White Rope, but for some reason when I glanced at it, I thought it said Thin White People, but it was rope. Thin White Rope.
It's Thin White People, y'all.
With the song Triangle. All right, let's see what they have to say. This time, Slade.
Timestamp is 1. Just do 140 even.
All right. This time, Slade was the lucky one to do his Our Picks playlist. From his playlist, members voted California band Thin White Rope with their song Triangle as the winner. Thin White Rope was active through 1984 and 1992, and their genre was desert rock, paisley, underground, neo-psychedelia. They released 5 albums of the winner song. They released 5 albums, and the winner song is from their 4th album, Sack Full of Silver from 1990. As with ROA's custom, the playlist maker gets to tell why the winner song band is important to them, why they chose it to their playlist. Here's Slade's comment. I think this song is an important song as it deals with depression and describes how a person tries to cope with it. I also love the sound and the mood of the song by this great but somewhat obscure band, which was the original desert rock band before Queens of the Stone Age made the term genre mainstream. All right, let's check it out.
All right, guys, here we go. This should be interesting. We are in Sepia. Let's do it. The Thin White Robe Triangle song. Let's do it. Somebody called it, what is it? Desert rock is what Neil called it?
The name of the genre?
Yeah, he called it desert. I think he said something about desert rock.
Huh, that's interesting.
Dysentery is delicious.
Desert rock right there. I'm journaling for a book, so
yeah.
fingers crossed. Wow, I really liked that too.
Desert rock is what Neil...
His vocal style, I liked the way it, like, stayed there, and the I understand saying a little down. Nothing I can wrap reasons around, but I can ignore it if I look real hard and make perfect triangles out of every 3 stars. Do you do that?
I do, actually.
So do I. Does everybody do that? Does everybody do that?
Well, it's because I don't know if because we're in Florida we can see stars better, or is it because when we were in Maine I just didn't want to go outside because it was 30 degrees or some shit.
No, I mean I've always done the triangle thing with the.
But yeah, and I've been looking up because I've been doing all this UAP shit, so you know.
So maybe that's why.
But yeah, like you kind of start to see those patterns and things like that, and make trapezoids and whatever. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So he's.
I like it subdued though. I like the subdued nature of this song.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
So it kind of sounded like, you know, he's feeling depressed, down.
But he can't really put his finger on it.
Yeah, he can't put his finger on what it is, but it's just, I'm not even sure if you experience that, because there's always something tragic in your...
Well, yeah, now there's things I could put my finger on, but I remember being, you know...
You literally always had something. I mean, even the way that you came to this country. Maybe you couldn't.
Yeah,
put
but
your
I
finger
couldn't
on
put
what
my
it
finger
was.
on it.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what it was
Yeah.
until literally years ago. Mm-hmm. But like, those two aren't mutually exclusive either. It's not like this guy had a completely. I don't think if I talk to this guy, I'm sure there's probably some tragedy in his life. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you still know how to put your finger on it. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're a dude. Like, dudes are not encouraged to express negative emotions, obviously. Mm-hmm. You know, there's always a penalty for it if you're a dude. It's just a fact. You're going to pay. So I think a lot of times dudes become very good at stuffing horrible situations to the point where they legitimately forget what they're upset about. So it's like, that's one of the reasons. It was, huh?
They also say that's why you guys die earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is a societal penalty for that kind of expression if you're a dude. So, yeah, you can get to the point, like there's a lot of dudes, like they come back from, you know, the field, for example, and if you ask them, why are you in a parking lot about to blow your brains out? They can't exactly tell you why. Although it seems obvious, like you just came off the field, of course. But like, they can't really tell you why exactly. You know, I was watching this YouTube short of this kid, and he fell off his bike, and he had this major shiner. Talk about like synchronicity. He had this major shiner on his head, and he was laughing, and the dad was like, "Tell me what your mom did," and the little boy was making fun of his mom because his mom was saying, "Oh no," you know, and then the dad was like, "Yeah, my son's a man," blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Yeah." And like an hour later, I'm outside, and one of my boys fell off his bike, and he laid there and he cried. He laid on the ground and he cried. And you know, you were going to go rescue him, and I stopped you, and I let him cry for a little bit, and then I told him to get up. I said, "Get up, Orion," and he got up, and you know, he went off and did whatever he's doing. Later, he came to me and he said, I said, "How'd that go, man?" He's like, "I fell off my bike." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, and I cried. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Why'd you do that?" And he said, "Because it hurt me." And I said, "But you got up?" And he said, "I did." And then he went off and he, you know, whatever. But it was a really crazy moment because I'm like, I said, okay, we did a good job here because he has no shame in crying. And he understands why he cried. I hurt my knee, I scraped my knee, I fell off my bike, that's why I cried. And I said, yeah, man, sometimes it's how it goes. You gotta cry it out, but then you gotta get up. But I also know that he is gonna become a black man in an American culture. And his mom is not gonna be there to go pick him up all the time. So he has to develop a certain degree of hardness if he's gonna be able to be successful and live in this country. My son sent me a text. I'm not gonna talk about the specific situation, but he's like, yo man, they really hate us, huh? And I said, just don't look at it, bro. Like, we already know there's no reason for you to look at it and go into it. When you get to that realization, aside from all the political bullshit and shit like that there are people who genuinely hate you, and we're pretending to be civil because there's social consequences, but the minute those social consequences got relieved, their true colors came out. It's very, very difficult to accept. And so, like, there's a certain level of hardness that you have to have in this particular society as a dude, particularly as a black dude. So that balance of making sure that they're able to have the emotional intelligence and self-awareness to say, that hurt me, and I cried because that hurt me, while simultaneously me knowing the world he's going to inherit, saying, get up, and no, I'm not going to let your mom come in and cuddle you in that situation. Get up. You never know if you're really, really striking the balance, and there's people that are always going to fall off on both sides. Like when I was reading the comments on the YouTube shorts, there are a lot of dudes that are like, yeah, that's right, he's got to be strong. And then of course you had the women saying, that's terrible, why didn't you hug him, blah blah blah, and why are you teaching him to make fun of his mother, and yada yada yada. I was debating about putting it up on our channel. I decided against it, but like, I don't know, I truly don't know.
Yeah, it's weird, like, because when you're in an interracial relationship, you don't know all the things that are going to come up that you can't prepare for. There's white parenting that I've seen, and even strict white parenting is different than your type of parenting. And so, like, to come, like, from, like, okay, maybe, like, some white boys are overly babied, and, like, coming from that standpoint, and then having to move to the middle to be like, yeah, it's not good to over baby them, but to you have to help them develop. And, like, there's a lot of women that complain about how bad men are, but then they baby their sons and allow their sons to, I mean, I see shorts a lot with, the kid slaps the mother across the face. Yeah, they're small, but you can't let them do that. You can't let them think that it's okay, or the mother says no and the kid doesn't listen. Like, that's one of the things that I think about a lot because sometimes I want to just, like, let some of the stuff go, but at the same time I'm like, if I fast forward that and he thinks that because when a woman says no, he can still do whatever it is that he was doing, and I said, no, you can't do that, then you're teaching him something that if a woman says no, you don't have to listen to it. And so I'm like, I can't do that for him, and I can't do that for her.
And what that can metastasize
exactly
into. So this guy is saying, but But
wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
But then, like, the whole, like, so you kind of, like, try to come to that place where you're like, okay, you have to train them to be men in a society, but then, like, there's the angle of them being black in America, and, like, I don't have that experience, so not having that experience, but still having to parent that way to prepare them for something that I haven't experienced, but I've seen parts of or experienced it in some, but not like I haven't experienced it as you, and it's a challenging thing, because it's like, there are some times where, like, our sons, they're older now, we've got older ones, and, like, some of the things that they experience and, like, or see on the news and stuff like that, it's painful, I guess, to see, like, like, I'm white, And like I know the mentalities and the mindsets that led those people to do X, Y, and Z thing that is now breaking the heart of my black son. And it's hard.
Yeah, and so I don't want them to get to a place where I was and where this guy is, where it's like he doesn't even know how to articulate what's going on with himself. Sometimes I make burns on my arms because it moves a feeling from my heart to my arms. Like, that's real.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of... Kai, I'm going to stay back after this review and answer that. That's a lot of self-harmers do that because the emotional pain is 50 times worse than the physical pain, and you know how to deal with physical pain. Oh, I got to burn, or I got to cut. You do this, you wrap that, and you know that time is going to heal that wound. Mm-hmm. Time is going to heal a physical wound. But there are metaphysical pains that people have that you do not have a formulaic means of taking care of. And I think that's one of the things that he's contending with. And it, you know, obviously I have black boys, so I'm going to talk about that. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a pain that a lot of dudes carry, which by the way, like, I'm glad that the boys have a mother that their first instinct is to run and pick them up. Mm-hmm. That's the way it's supposed to go. Like, they also need the feminine energy, because they also need to be able to go to their wives for comfort when they deal with the world, because I'm not going to be around.
They also need to know how to comfort their wives.
Yeah, but for men in particular, they need to be able to know how to go to their wives for comfort. Mm-hmm. That's also a skill that is not talked about and is not taught, but is definitely something that's necessary. Is that your wife can save you from a lot of the shit that happens in this world. But the ability to go and bounce that off of her and say, this is what's going on with me and all that, is a skill. I don't have it at all. I don't have it to the degree that I need it, but it's also a skill. And that's also something you have to teach them. But nobody talks about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people will talk about, like, you got to comfort your girl and things like that. They actually do. I see a lot of that happening in conversations with dudes. But nobody talks about how much men need women. And how, as a man, to articulate to your woman that you need her.
Yeah.
So that...
Yeah, because it seems like with you, it's always like the spillover point.
Right.
And...
Right.
I mean, for myself, like, anytime that you're in those points and I, like, know that I've been of help as a comfort to you, like, it's a real, like, you know, like I talk about after childbirth, like, there's that, like, honor moment. Like, it feels like that. Like, it feels, like I was made for this, like, in those moments when I've been able to be a comfort to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and AT's talking about turn emotional pain into physical pain. I can totally relate. Takes you out of yourself. You know, like, I got shit on my arms that I'm going to go to the grave with. And I've been in horrible, really terrible situations, and I don't have any permanent marks from those situations. But I got permanent marks from myself, which is mind-boggling to me, you know, considering the situations that I've been in. So, like, I really liked the song. It was a very, very deep song. And I also liked whoever said that it was desert rock, because I really like the desert, man. Like, there's a certain kind of it's a motherfucker in them, you know.
Well, when he said, now that I've planted wait, I'm sorry, were you done?
No, go.
When he said, now that I've planted the seed, maybe those triangles will form without me, surround the world in their crystalline ache, and freeze the heroes into glassy mosaics. And I wasn't sure, like, if what he was saying, like, so once you see the 3 stars, and then your mind just, like, you're not looking for them anymore. You just see them everywhere. You're like a triangle. You know what I mean? Like, and so is it that, like, you planted the seed for the triangles and that's why you're seeing them everywhere? Are there other shapes that you would also see, or other things that you would also see if you planted those shapes? And so I don't know, like, if he's talking also about, like mindsets or, like, feelings of, like, you know how, like, if you're ungrateful, then you're going to see everything negatively? And so then it's almost like, are you making those triangles, or are those triangles making themselves? Because now you've almost, like, got yourself in this system where it's just like, you're almost like in a rut and you got to get yourself out of it. And I think that there are certain things that are like, you know, like stretching is universally a good thing. Like there's probably very few things that like you shouldn't stretch, but like, you know, like maybe if you have like a broken arm, you don't stretch it when it's broken and healing.
I probably tore a muscle I probably tore something according to your friend ChatGPT. I have
Because
symptoms of a torn whatever, and that's because I was in the lotus position for too long.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything
But
should be
go
within
ahead.
reason.
I'm
But, like, there's
right
some,
now.
yeah, I know. There's some things that are like, you know, everybody probably should be stretching, and I think that, I don't even know where I was going to go with that. I thought about your lotus position and all that stuff, and I'm like, I knew it. You always look like you're overdoing stuff. Everything's going to be on 10 with this guy. For real. Gosh.
The triangle thing is interesting though, because it's something that's not there.
I was going to say gratefulness.
Yeah, there you go.
Gratefulness is also something that all of us universally should do, and that's not even something that you can overdo. Like, I think that it has effects in other things that you didn't know. So like when you stretch, it has an effect. Like some of the stretches that you do like affects your gut. It helps, you know, like different stretches will do different things, even though you're stretching a muscle, but it also has an effect on something else. And gratefulness, I think, is like that. Like there's something about like, I mean, there's a story in the Bible about 10 lepers. And like, if you can imagine having leprosy, like your skin is friggin' falling off, you're losing fingers, like you're ostracized from the community. You can't be around the people that you love because you'll infect them. They live in like this valley. People are dropping food to them. Like it's a horrible existence. And Jesus met up with with 10 of them, and he healed them all. And only like 1 or 2 of them came back to thank him, which is so insane to me when I think about the story. Because it's like, yeah, but literally, I mean, leprosy? You can't even thank somebody for healing you of leprosy? But then it's like, wow, like those people really missed out on something, because the 2 that returned, like they didn't know who Jesus was, but they were face to face with the King of the universe. Like, and because they were grateful in their heart, they got a moment with Jesus that the other ones didn't get. Like, yeah, the other ones got healed of their leprosy, but they didn't get to go face to face with Jesus and say, thank you for this. Like, they missed something like literally that's a once in a lifetime moment that you're not going to be able to replay. Like, he only walked this earth for X amount of years and he was gone. Like, they have a unique experience with Jesus that those other ones they're not going to have. And so yeah, like I think that gratefulness puts us in a place of like supernatural like things. Like it changes things. And when you're not a grateful person, like you're miserable. Like I think it gratefulness drives away some of our misery. So yeah, like paint the triangles of gratefulness, and then you start seeing it more everywhere. Do they paint themselves or do you paint them? But I didn't understand the glassy mosaic part.
Well, to me, that was because he talked about our heroes in glassy mosaics.
Yeah.
To me, that if they're in glass or they're glassed, that means they're not going to move. They're going to be stuck in that specific
Surround the
moment.
world in their crystalline ache and freeze the heroes into glassy mosaics.
Yeah, so they're not going to be able to move. So they're going to be stuck in that goodness, and it's not going to change. I think that's part of the problem that he's dealing with, is like the ever-changing nature of reality, and no matter how good a person is in a given moment, something's going to happen. So it'd be cool to just be able to boom, have a specific kind of moment where you could freeze that person in time and goodness, and the entire world could be frozen in goodness. See what I'm saying? And you'd have heroes and all the rest of it. 9.8 for me.
9.9.
There you are, dear listener.
Another one in the books, you guys.
Yes, another one in the books.
Yeah, that is the end of our stream for tonight. You guys, you know what it is, right? Okay, so we've passed midnight, so we are now into Wednesday. But Thursday, True Detectives, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come through, join up on Rumble, join up on Twitter, whatever you want to. We're not going to be able to play that on YouTube, so you got to be there to see these. These are we're having a really great time watching this with you guys. Yeah,
and it's mysterious.
Like literally, I said to Vin like a day after we watched episode 1 and 2, I was like, oh, well, never mind. I was like gonna tell him, hey, let's watch more of that show, and then I'm like, wait, I can't do that.
Stop watching the mid show. It's mid to me right now.
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
we'll talk about it later.
So
we'll watch an
truly
episode.
mid,
or two.
apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked that other one though. I mean, it was
watch
tragic, but it
we'll
was
watch
good.
an episode or two tonight.
All right, excellent. Okay, so yeah, come through Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're gonna see you guys. We're gonna have a good time.
Yep. All right. Okay, so Kai, if you're still here, type 22.
And I am going to work on the supper.
Saraya's gonna work on my tacos, inshallah.
Much love to you guys. Have a good night. Stay safe. Don't drink too much, you guys. It's not good.
Okay. I think everybody can agree that some form of democracy is better than a monarchy. Right? And I think everybody can agree that having a government with checks and balances is superior to a government that doesn't have checks and balances. But if you had a person, presumably that was a morally perfect person, then that individual being a monarch wouldn't be a problem. So the fact that human beings have to create democracies that have checks and balances indicates that we believe that if you give someone too much power, they are of necessity going to abuse it. But power is not a separate ontology with its own agency. Power simply means the ability to execute one's will without successful resistance. So what we're saying is, human beings are the kinds of people that if they were able to execute their will in toto without any resistance, will by definition be bad for everybody else. That does not communicate to me that any of us believes that people are inherently good. So that's what I mean. And I agree with Amy, no human being can be a morally perfect being, and that's all I mean when I say that we are not basically good. That's all I mean. What I mean is, we do not have moral perfection, and all of us will abuse power if we have too much of it, and that's why we need checks and balances. So no, I don't think that we're when I say that we are not inherently good, that's what I mean. If you mean inherently good as in human beings are inherently valuable, yep, I agree. I'd say human beings are infinitely valuable. But on the question of our morality, we are not. And I don't believe that we even believe that, especially in the Western world. I don't believe that we believe that. And if you look at the stories that we tell each other, Lord of the Rings, for example, it doesn't communicate to me that we really believe that we're inherently good. Or stories like The Purge. That doesn't communicate that in the collective psychology of all of us that we think, yeah, we're all really good. If you suspended the law for a day, everybody would be raiding the Walmart to feed homeless people. That's not what happened in the movie. So that's what I mean. That's all. That's what I meant. So hopefully that clarifies that. Ooh. So, Kai, I'm waiting on your response. 'Cause all I'm seeing right now is morally perfect? Impossible. I agree. I wouldn't be killing or robbing people. Kai, would you say that you're a perfect person? Would you say that you've never harmed anyone in your life? Would you say that your parents have never had to discipline you? Again, if a person says original sin does not mean we're as bad as we could be. It means we're not as good as we should be. So I think that you're missing the point. Those 40 nations. Right. Okay. So if you're not a perfect person, that means that you've sinned. That means you have strands of selfishness in you that affect the world around you, just like the rest of us. That's all I mean. So we have a different definition of basic goodness. For me, goodness is in comparison to Jesus of Nazareth. That's what goodness is. And that's why Jesus himself said, there's nobody good but God. Because if we compare our morality to Jesus' standard of goodness, which is perfection, then none of us are good. And it's not like it's a 100-question multiple choice test and we missed one answer. Like, this is something we do every day, liminally and subliminally. That's what I'm saying. Which does end up having horrible ramifications for all the people around us. So again, original sin does not mean that we are as bad as we could be. It means we're not as good as we should be. And so if I define sin and goodness from that perspective, I think you and I can come to a mutual agreement that that statement is true about humanity. Okay, well, just get on. I'll put you on the Zoom thingamajiggy here, and we'll talk. It'll probably be instructive for the group. Here you go. So just click that, and then you'll be able to come on cam, and then we could talk. See what I'm saying? Because to be honest with you, I don't really understand a lot of what you're saying when you're saying that you believe that humans are inherently good. Like I just have a very hard time understanding how you could say that. Unless, and the conclusion I've come to is, okay, me and Kai have a different definition of what good is. So if we alter the definition of goodness, then you can work goodness into anything if you alter the definition of goodness. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm just saying it explains why we'll probably have variances on how we interpret the world and what's going on in the world, is what I'm saying. But yeah, click on that link, bro. You'll be able to just jump in there. And then your slow fingers will no longer be a factor. By the way, guys, while Kai and I are talking, I'm waiting for Kai to jump on. I can still do an Ask Me Anything. So, I can multitask. A brother can multitask. So if any of you beautiful people have any questions, I'll be willing to answer that too. And it doesn't have to be giant philosophical questions. Kai and I are veterans of the Bible Boogie foreign war. So, we have these conversations. It's been a running conversation for about the last 5 years, literally. So we do talk about other things. You can talk about other things if you're interested in asking different questions of me, of moi. Although it's 1 a.m, so you people are probably a lot more intelligent than me and going to bed. Shout out to all the Twitterati. I appreciate y'all. Just like you have a different definition of evil. Yeah, I agree. I think I always start out with good because I believe that good has an actual ontology in the universe. I don't believe evil has an ontology in the universe. What I believe about evil is that it is the absence of good in varying degrees. So that's what I believe evil is. I believe that goodness has an ontology, an existence as a being and as a conscious being with agency. I do not believe that evil has that. Evil is just a descriptor of the lack of the good in any given thing. So that's true. That's a very, very astute observation. How I define good is going to, for me, necessarily work in how I define evil. But of course, it's Amy Lee forever. She, you know everything. And I mean that positively. There's the link right there, bro. You don't see it? It says guest Ecamm. Ecamm Live. It's right there. Bada bing, bada boop. I also think that our emotions get involved in this on both sides, because when we hear that people are basically evil, people are hearing you're worthless, you're horrible, you're irredeemable. Original sin does not mean that human beings are irredeemable. What it means is that human beings must be redeemed. Right? It means we must be redeemed. It doesn't mean that we're irredeemable. It means we must be redeemed. Just like original sin doesn't mean that we are as bad as we could be. It just means that we're not as good as we should be. Now, when I talk to people like Kellandros and things of that nature, that is not the message that they've gotten when the topic of, human sinfulness and original sin is brought up. And I understand that. I do. But that doesn't take away the truth value of the statement. And again, I think the fact that all of us... What do you mean you see no link? I might be in the wrong chat. You know what I'm going to do? I could solve this problem. Amy, you can jump on too, by the way. There's like multiple people that can jump on this thing. Or anybody else. Let me see here. Let me jump on this chat thingamajig. Restream chat. Okay. Hold on, I'll get it for you. Sorry@gmail. Give me a second, guys. I'll put it in another chat. I'm probably in the wrong place. Let me know if you guys can see it now. Hopefully, that'll show up as a clickable link for you beautiful people. Looks like a little impromptu Bible boogie is what it looks like to me. Amy, let me know if you could see that link. You don't have to click on it if you don't want to. Just let me know if you can see that link. If not, then I'm just going to give up. I'm going to quit. It's just like I tell my kids, just quit. If it gets too hard, just quit. Okay, so you see it now? Okay, good. So if you see it, all you got to do is click on it and it'll bring you online. And like I said, Amy, you can jump on if you want. Anybody can jump on. I don't care. I don't care. I don't mind. There he is. Kai the guy. What's up, baby?
Not much.
What's up, Kai?
Not much.
All right. So, what is your disagreement with how I defined it, if any?
Well, actually, I don't have any.
Okay. So we've come to an agreement after all these years.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what? Let me ask you. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What did you think I was saying?
Well, pretty much what you did
Which is what?
about the original sin and stuff like that. And there is a one perfect being, and we all know who he is and or she, but probably he.
Yeah, but when you say people are basically good, what do you mean by that?
Sorry, I lost you. I can't hear you.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. Just
So when you say people are basically good, what do you mean?
uh, mostly I mean that evolutionary speaking, it was the survival of the kindest, because we don't have any. We are quite weak when it comes to the another living things on this planet, and we couldn't have survived without being nice to each other. But back in the day when we were hunter-gatherers, it was easy. We were small groups, and when we started the agriculture, then came the cities and need for armies and people to guard the crops and stuff like that. Came the diseases and pretty much everything everything modern stuff.
That is a view of how we evolved and became the apex predator, Kai, but that's not the only view. I think everybody agrees that we have to cooperate. I think everybody agrees that human beings, especially at the hunter-gatherer stage, if the narrative that we're told is true, have to cooperate. But I'm not certain that cooperation and kindness are the same thing. Cooperation seems to be an external logical deduction, whereas kindness seems to be an internal compulsion.
Well, there is a interesting studies made that we did kind of domesticate ourselves to be kind by the natural selection, of course, because the kind people were able to make kids and
But
pass the
how do you
genes.
define kindness? Do you think that gatherers had understandings of things like consent, for example, relative to mating and things of that nature?
Well, that's pretty hard to say because there weren't this Judeo-Christian worldview around back then. It was totally different kind of a world and an environment where they lived. So it's
Well,
really,
I mean, I got to give credit to you
I
guys.
would be talking out of my ass if I would claim that I know what they think about those things.
Yeah, but I want to give credit to you guys. I mean, you guys also had a pretty good system to respect consent, right? Like, it wasn't like you pagans were going around just raping everybody. right? So I don't think what I'm saying is I don't think you necessarily need Judeo-Christianity to establish, hey, you should not do that to people, right? Like I think you guys were pretty good at that too. Or I mean, I don't know your history. I'm just assuming you guys do because you're my representative of paganism, and I would much rather have you running the country than me.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
that?
I'm pretty new. I'm pretty new with this, and I'm learning and trying to study about this thing also, and I
Oh,
wouldn't consider myself any kind of expert on this
the,
right now because I'm still in a learning process, and
I
I
have
probably
read.
will always be.
All of us are, you know. I've read the survival of the kindest stuff, and I think it accounts for cooperation, but I still don't see how it accounts for your kind of kindness. Because your kind of
And
kindness,
there is a early evidence that they did care, even Neanderthals took care of their injured counterparts. There are archaeological
right?
evidence about that,
But I understand that, but
and
again,
taking care of the weaker or
right,
injured
right.
or
But
less fortunate members of the tribes.
that makes sense for cooperation, right? So, like for example, if you have a broken leg, there's one less of us to fight the wildebeest. If I figure out, hey, if we take care of Kai, in about 3 or 4 weeks, he'll be back on track and he'll be able to hunt the wildebeest with us. It's better for us to do that for him than to leave him. That sounds like cooperation. That doesn't
That's
necessarily
true also.
that doesn't necessarily sound like kindness, right? Kindness to me
Yeah.
is you, right? Like I don't imagine the Denisovians, if they saw a little 4-year-old crying, would kneel down and hug the 4-year-old and rock him in their arms. Like, are you saying that they would do that? Because I
Why
think
not?
you would do that. I think
Why
you
wouldn't they do that?
because
Yes,
I
I
don't.
would.
Yeah, because I don't see that as a selection pressure. I see the broken leg and healing the broken leg as a selection pressure because we need you to fight the wildebeest. But I don't see how hugging little Susie and giving her a piece of candy is going to help us fight the wildebeest. That's what I'm saying. And to me, helping a person with a broken leg is not kindness. That's cooperation.
Yeah, I agree that it has a function for the larger group. Yes.
But I'm not sure that kindness does. And there are also forms of kindness, Kai, that are counterproductive to our progress. Let me give you an example. Let's say that me, you, Amy, and Neil are in a tribe, right? And let's just say that I am the strongest out of everybody in our little tribe, right? And a little girl from a completely different tribe is by herself. She's separated by literally hundreds of miles, right? An alligator attacks her, right? And I go and sacrifice myself for her, right? That's a very kind thing of me to do, right? But now what's happened is everybody's now vulnerable because your strongest warrior is now dead. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's fascinating to me. We would say on the one hand, what a beautiful thing that this man just did, right? But on the other hand,
Yeah.
we have now severely weakened the gene pool, and we have now put the gene carriers that are currently around in a lot of vulnerability and a lot of danger, right? So in my view, there are certain kinds of kindnesses that are actually antithetical to natural selection. And the fact that
but
we
then
value... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Then again, we would be in a really good position to approach the other tribe, because you did the ultimate sacrifice by saving their offspring.
No, I said that they were hundreds of miles away, right? She's just by herself.
Well, anyway.
Right? So I'm dead. Their greatest warrior is dead. Your greatest warrior is dead, Kai. And now you have a broken leg, and God bless him, but there's Neil, who doesn't seem to be a very and we've got Amy, who's brilliant, but is not going to be able to launch the spear as well as I could. So now what I've just done in my act of kindness and sacrifice, I have just put our strongest gene carrier in the ground, and now I've put the rest of you guys in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, but we would have to work even tighter as a group.
Yeah, but you guys are dead. It's over with. You can be as tight as you want. Kai, let's be realistic, man. Because I'm sure you and I agree there have been untold tribes that we've never heard of that have just been disappeared into the ether because they were just not able to adjust to the selection pressures of their environment, right?
But I'm a good gatherer.
Yes, but where we are right now, we're surrounded by wildebeests and lions, and your greatest spear chucker is now dead. I'm just saying that there are some forms of altruism.
Yes, yes.
There's some forms of kindness
I
that are...
understand your point.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is it's very interesting to me that we value, and maybe this has to do with our Christian conditioning, because we're Westerners. And so the Christian story of this person sacrificing himself on behalf of the whole is romanticized to us because we come from the Christian West. But it's very interesting to me how we value sacrifice of the stronger for the sake of the weaker, of the rich for the person who can never pay them back. Like, we value that almost as like a primary value, when a lot of times it doesn't have much benefit natural selection wise. It's not kindness.
Probably there would be some songs and fireside stories about your great deed for centuries to come.
Yes, if you could survive long enough for your leg to heal up so you can get to a guitar, then you'd be able to tell the stories of your wonderful warrior friend who laid his life down for... I don't know if you saw what Amy said. She said, it's not kindness to us, but to the girl. If you're so dumb, you should not be the leader. That's why I said Amy's the genius. So we need Amy because she's going to be the strategist. We need you because you're the one that's going to be able to help us negotiate with the other tribes, because if you only had me, I'm killing everybody. If you only had Amy, she's just going to go with cold, hard logic, right? We need you to be able to, negotiate with the other tribesmen because you're kind and you're soft-spoken, and then I'm standing behind you with my spear, right? And then Amy's whispering to you, well, hey, make sure... You see what I'm saying? Like, so we all have to cooperate together. So I'm not saying that we don't need kind people. We need kind people in the context of cooperation. But there are certain kinds of kindnesses that are actually antithetical to our evolution or natural selection, because it takes out the best of the gene pool, at least at the hunter-gatherer stage, it looks like.
Yeah.
But I do believe that most of us value kindness over just brute force and violence. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're all not in a nuclear winter. Although I mean, times are scary right now, you know. And hopefully we have some Amy's in some of these back rooms when these people are having these insane conversations about, you know, like the Indians just attacked the Pakistanis today. They just sent a rocket over there and blew up a bunch of... I'm like, what the hell is going on here? You know?
Yeah.
So we need more Kais and we need more Amy's. We don't need more me's, honestly. It's just true. But yeah, no, it's a good talk. We'll talk more.
But in a sense, it's a easy sell for people watching today's media and stuff like that. What news are feeding to us? It's really, I know it's really hard to think that we are inherently good, because what all the media feeds to us, it's telling us the opposite always. Kind of we are the product of our own own story in that sense.
Yeah. No, yeah, it works like a terrible circle. I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. But yeah, I'll be in situations sometimes I'd be like, what if Kai was next to me? And then I make a decision from there. So like sometimes I employ you to be my the angel, the good angel. So I have you and Jesus as my good angels. And I'm like, all right, well I won't do this thing then, because Kai wouldn't do it. Kai's kind.
Well, I've done my stupid shit, yeah, for sure.
Yep. All right, man.
But,
I gotta get out of here.
yeah, I'm at the workplace also, so they are starting to search me soon, so I better go too.
So you just robbed your boss because he's paying you. You just robbed your man, Kai. You crazy boy. I love you, man. Have a good one.
But I am a smarter employee after this.
Right.
I learned something again.
Right. This will be better. This will be better for the company. More people should take time. More people should take time.
Yeah.
Cool-headed and not cold-hearted. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Much love to all you beautiful people.
Yeah.
Finn out.
Guy out.